Elijah, you should be unmuted and okay. Do you want to just test?
Testing, can you hear me? Testing, okay, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elijah Wild, and I am the chair of the 2020 Caucus Council. Thank you for joining us this evening. We ask for your patience. We're going to work through this. We have never taken on a Zoom call of this size to handle a fall town hall meeting, but thank you for your participation. Tonight, we continue Winnebago's century-old tradition of caucus governance, a system where nonpartisan volunteer representatives of our village do the diligent work to identify, screen, and nominate our neighbors for the important leadership roles of our community's elected boards. Those of us on the 2020 Caucus Council did our best to conduct ourselves openly, honestly, and with only the best of intentions for the village and its future. And I thank every member of the 2020 Caucus for pulling together under very trying times. In the spirit of gratitude, I do want to take a moment to thank the leaders of the community who are completing terms and will likely be completing their service this spring. Teresa Claybrook, Parks Commissioner. Kate McNally, Library Trustee. Rahila Gil Anwar, Library Trustee. Brian Johnson, Library Trustee. Scott Conine, School Board. Nat Roberts, School Board. Jack Coladarchi, Village Council. And I also want to mention a big thank you to all members of the 2020 Caucus who are finishing their 3-year term. At this time, I am going to turn the floor over to Paul Cushman, who's the chair of our communication committee. He's going to explain the running order of elections, the voting process, and other details that he would like everybody to be aware of this evening. Paul, the floor is yours at the moment.
Thanks very much, Elijah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being participants in probably the largest ever Winnetka Caucus Council meeting. Once again, you're making history. Well done, something to tell the grandkids about. Couple of little rules for the road. We do ask for politeness and civility during any dialogues that take place. Anybody who breaks the rules will be kicked out. We are also recording this as well, so please be aware that the video and text will all be recorded as part of the meeting. Other things just to go through, I would like to explain to everybody the voting order and the structure of the meeting. So we will begin with the president. We will then do the village trustees, the village platform, parks, library, and schools nominees. All of the votes will be a call of the vote as they are uncontested. The village trustee vote, as it is contested, where we have 4 candidates competing for 3 nominations, will be conducted via Zoom's polling functionality, and that will be available on the PC and the mobile app. If anybody is dialed in, we do apologize, but you will not be able to vote from a dial-in. Similarly, you are only able to cast 1 vote per device. So if a husband and wife are currently using 1 laptop, but you would both like to vote, one of you would need to log in individually on a second device. We do apologize for that, but that is the only way that we were able to conduct this vote. The results will be reported and recorded after each vote is conducted. The last thing I will say is that everybody is muted automatically from this end. I don't think there are any knuckleheads out there, but we thought that during the last meeting, and we did indeed have a knucklehead. So should you want to get in touch with us, the moderators, please do use the text functionality. Lastly, regarding the text functions, which are down the bottom of your screen as chat, when it comes time to ask questions of a candidate, if you would kindly type the name of the candidate you wish to ask a question of, and we will pick from that group. If the first 5 questions are all for one candidate, we may only ask the first candidate question from that group and pick a later question for another candidate in order to spread the questions out a little. Again, we will do our best to moderate this. We are under time crunches. I will set expectations. We probably won't be able to answer or get to every question. But again, we're trying to keep the meeting on time and to let everyone get on with their evening. That's pretty much it in terms of instructions, unless, Elijah, there's anything that you would like to add.
I would just make it known to everybody on the call, the intention of the meeting is a 60-minute meeting. If it comes in a little under that, that's great. If it comes in a little over that, that's great also. But that is our intention, to have 60 minutes or less, just so everybody is aware. Paul, any further comments?
No, not from me. I think we can get on with the show.
Okay, sounds good. For this meeting, I do want to make mention that Mark Delavalle will serve as the parliamentarian in the case that we need a ruling decision. This year's committees interviewed 35 individuals and selected 15 candidates and 3 alternates to serve as village president and on our 4 elected boards. If approved tonight, these candidates will be voted upon at the April 6, 2021 consolidated general election. In addition to the committee selected nominees, this evening we have a nomination from the floor to consider under Caucus Rule 126E. That states any caucus member may nominate a candidate to the floor in addition to the caucus council candidate slate, provided that 1, the caucus member gives both the chair of the caucus council and the chair of the current relevant candidates committee written notice identifying the person to be nominated and the position for which the nomination is being made at least 14 days prior to the date of the annual town meeting. And number 2, the person nominated must have previously indicated his or her interest in the position for which he or she is nominated to the current relevant candidates committee and submitted his or her completed resume and questionnaire to such committee in a timely fashion in accordance with Rule 82. These requirements were in fact met. So I am going to make the first introduction for our floor nominee, Brian Van Cleve. Bear with us for a moment while the communications committee finds you and unmutes you.
Can you hear me?
And Brian, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say good evening to all the Winnetka residents that are on the call tonight. Again, I think it's great that we have at the participation level that we do. I'd like to also thank the caucus committee for all their work and allowing me this opportunity to nominate Robert Dearborn for village trustee for the upcoming term. I've known Bob since grade school. Bob and I have been longtime friends. We have both raised our families here in Winnetka, and I'm excited and enthusiastic about nominating Bob from the floor. My wife Patty and I have followed Bob's work as he has volunteered for numerous village positions. Bob served as the caucus chair roughly 20 years ago. He had a long run on design review board, and for almost the past 4 years, he's been a village trustee. Throughout all of these positions, Bob has always come to every meeting thoroughly prepared. He's been steadfastly dedicated to advocating on behalf of the village holistically and specifically for all of us as residents. As a trustee, he's been a stalwart on the council, particularly with respects to the financial position of the village and the financial impact, pro and con, on topics that have come before council. As an example, just a few weeks ago, Bob was a leading advocate for refinancing $12.5 million of outstanding village bonds, with the end result being a $3.3 million present value savings to the village and a $6 million nominal savings over the life of the bonds. This is an enormous savings that will provide important financial flexibility to the village as other capital improvements are addressed. Bob has also been involved in the discussion on pension funding. As many of you may know, the police and fire pensions are to be consolidated with other public safety funds per state of Illinois mandate. While Winnetka will continue to have their plans segregated from others, there are important issues around funding that Bob has been heavily involved with.
Brian, you got 7 seconds remaining.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a time limit here, but
That's okay. There is a time limit.
okay. Bob's been a strong supporter of village programs, including stormwater, streetscape, revitalization of the commercial district, and supporting our retailers. And with that, I wholeheartedly nominate Bob Dearborn for village trustee. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate the comments. Thank you. So moving forward, we are going to start with the uncontested Winnetka Village President's role for Chris Rintz. Chris, if you would like to introduce yourself, take a minute or two for commentary.
Sure, thanks, Elijah. Good evening, everyone. I am Chris Rintz, your current village president, and I would like to start out by extending my appreciation to all the members of the Winnetka Caucus Council for their willingness to step up and become actively involved in guiding our community into the future. As a fellow volunteer, I understand how challenging and thankless public service can be at times. We are all doing our best to keep our community a great place to live and prosper. Excuse me. I also want to thank my partner, Kathy, for her support and patience. She has endured a lot with all the phone calls, meetings, and frequent preoccupation, not to mention all the unsolicited conversations at the Grand, social events, and the like. You know, my wife serves without even volunteering. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be here tonight without her support. 4 years ago, the caucus asked me to step up and guide us through several generational initiatives with a desire to shed Winnetka's reputation as a town that embraced progress without change. Our business districts were languishing as a result of years of disinvestment, and many of our residences suffered mightily as 100-year rain events became more commonplace. Our village council has made amazing strides since then, finishing the first 2 phases of streetscape in West Elm business districts, with East Elm on schedule for 2021. While adding visual interest, these important projects add needed infrastructure improvements that will support new business that require modernized utilities and technology. We have also completed intergovernmental agreements with the Cook County Forest Preserve, New Trier High School, the Winnetka Park District, and School District 36 that finally provide us with a place to store stormwater other than our yards and basements. There is still much to do, and the job is not yet finished. Hubbard Woods, the old One Winnetka site, a new comprehensive plan, and actually putting a shovel in the ground on our stormwater project are still on the agenda. Working closely with our state representatives, particularly State Rep Robin Gable and State Senator Laura Fine, we have secured $28 million in state grants for our stormwater project that ensure our taxpayers alone aren't footing the bill. Just because we are affluent doesn't mean we should garner our fair share. In the coming year, we will aggressively lobby federal partners to help close the gap and mitigate costs even further. More good news is all this progress has come without any increase in your village portion of the property tax. For those who haven't been keeping score, I'm proud to remind you that your village council has accomplished this all while holding the line on tax increases. This year, the proposed budget marks our 7th consecutive year of 0 increase in the property tax levy. I truly appreciate the confidence reflected in the caucus's willingness to allow me to finish the job we have started. It is humbling to have the support and encouragement of my friends and neighbors to help move our town forward and support the personal investment we have all made in our homes and businesses. I'll do my best to navigate these challenges for the benefit of all of us. And if I don't, most of you know where to find me. So I just want to again, thank you for all you do, and thanks for the opportunity to continue serving.
Chris, thank you. Appreciate it. The floor is open for a number of questions.
So in order to ask questions, if you could use the chat function at the bottom of the page, and we will then do our best to find you across the 21 screens of participants that we have, and we will then unmute you. Again, to everybody, please, in the interest of enabling as much question as possible, short questions, and to candidates and respondents, short answers will enable us to hear as many different opinions and questions as possible. Thank you. So we are calling for questions in the text or chat function. If you would like to ask a question of Chris, please type your name into the text and we will unmute you so you can ask your question.
If there are no questions, we will move to a vote.
We have one from Alicia Gray. We'll just try and find you.
Okay, Alicia is unmuted, so she can go ahead and ask her question.
This is Elisha. I'm a 40-year resident of Winnetka, and I would like to ask each candidate, I'll start with Chris for village trustee, and including Bob Dearborn when he comes up, and each candidate for park district commissioner to answer the following question regarding one of our community's valuable assets, that's the Green Bay Trail. And I asked both sets of candidates to respond because the village owns the property of the Green Bay Trail and the park district manages it. Here's the question. I won't get back in the queue each time, but I'd like each candidate to address it when they have a chance. As results of a recent caucus questionnaire that showed a high percentage of respondents, that is to say about 68%, agreed or strongly agreed that we should improve the Green Bay Trail, what actions would you as a trustee, or when the park district commissioner is nominated, a commissioner, take to enhance the Green Bay Trail, including addressing the preponderance of invasive species along the trail in Winnetka? So Chris, I know you've spoken about this before. I don't know that everybody's had a chance to hear, but after you answer, and when it's Eric's turn and Warren's turn and Colleen's and Jonathan's and Andrew's and Kim's and Bob, to address briefly this question.
I think we've got it. We need to keep things on schedule. So
That's it.
Question.
That's it.
Chris, 1 minute response or less, please. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I can tell you what we have done in the direction that we're going in is last year Village Council included funding in the 2020 budget to include adding the Green Bay Trail to the comprehensive plan study as a separate project in and of itself, in which our consultant would look at the Green Bay Trail and start to make suggestions for those sorts of improvements. The Lakota group, who is also a fantastic design firm as well as a planning firm, has taken the lead on that. We did have to defer the actual work this year because of COVID, as we did on the comprehensive plan, but we have re-included additional funds for Green Bay Trail, which I now believe we have about $40,000 set aside for the initial study and some preliminary planning on the trail, which will then move into an implementation process once we get through that. But the Village Council's been on it, thanks to you, Elijah, who's brought it to our attention. And I believe we're acting in a very affirmative manner in recognizing what a wonderful asset that is. I've been using it for 35 years and love the trail all as much as you do. And you know, certainly we stop and chat every time we run into each other down there. So it's on the radar screen, and it certainly is a high priority item for the coming year.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any further questions? If you would like to raise a question, please type in the chat and we will try and find you and unmute you so you can ask your question.
Okay, if there's no further questions for Chris, we're going to proceed to the vote for village president. Seeing it's an uncontested, is there any nays that oppose Chris Rince's nomination and selection?
And I would say, as we have everyone muted, if you would like to nay, please wave your hand furiously.
Or type it into the box.
Yeah.
Uncontested will not have a poll. This will be via chat or screen on the nay.
And so far across all the video screens, I see no hands waving, so unanimous. Congratulations, Chris.
The ayes have it. Slate's approved. Congratulations, Chris. Moving on now to Village Council. I'm going to introduce the candidates and then ask them to take a minute or so to introduce themselves. And then the speakers for those candidates will have a minute to speak in support of that candidate. So our first slated candidate is Kim Mancini.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Mancini. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to participate in this very important town hall meeting. A little bit about myself. My husband, Mike, and I moved up to Winnetka about 6 years ago. We have 3 children, ages 6, 4, and 1. The oldest attends Hubbard Woods Elementary School. The middle goes to Winnetka Community Nursery School, and the youngest, unfortunately, goes nowhere, especially during this pandemic. I'm very interested in joining the Village Council for a variety of reasons that can essentially all be lumped into the idea that I would like to ensure that we as a village are making the right choices not only for today, but for tomorrow as well. I believe an effective, well-functioning village council is one that is reflective of the community as a whole. And as it stands today, there's a significant gap when it comes to the representation of families with young children and that group's needs, wants, and interests. As for my qualifications, while I've never worked in the public sector, I have sat and am currently sitting on a couple of wonderful and successful nonprofit boards in leadership roles. One in particular had me working directly with the village on a playground construction project. So I'm familiar with the workings of some of the various groups that feed into this council. Further, I recognize that there are many complex issues facing the council, including, but not limited to, stormwater drainage, budgeting, and downtown redevelopment. This is not unique to today or this election cycle. That is the norm. While I cannot tell you the inner workings of such projects at this particular moment, I can tell you I'm a quick learner and I expect to fully understand the moving parts in short order.
Yeah.
In terms of my background, I have an undergraduate degree in business from Indiana University's Kelley School of Business, as well as an MBA that was focused on economics, management, and entrepreneurship from the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business. I spent my time after college working in marketing and product development for Discover Financial Services and then for Career Builder. I stopped working, however, when my oldest daughter was born, but have kept myself busy sitting on these boards while also looking into new entrepreneurship endeavors. I recognize that experience is an excellent asset to have when sitting on a village council, but having a pulse on what a large percentage of unrepresented townspeople want is an excellent asset as well. I can certainly fulfill that missing piece. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Kim. The first person, if you want to introduce them, that is
Sure.
speaking.
Max Wiegand, if you can find yourself.
Yeah, sure. Can people hear me?
Max, you have 1 minute.
Yes. Okay. All right. Quick. So yeah, hi. So my name is Max. This is my 3rd year on the caucus slating committee. Each year we've slated highly qualified and successful candidates that have done a great job on the committee. And I'm here in full support of Kim Mancini, who was unanimously selected by the Village Caucus Slating Committee, and then unanimously selected in our executive committee meeting as well. And I think those reasons are kind of 3 reasons that Kim already hit as well. But the purpose of the Winnetka Caucus is to slate candidates that best represent the community of Winnetka. If slated, Kim would only be the 2nd female on the Village Council and the 1st mother of school-aged children to have a voice for this growing segment in Winnetka. This is a voice that I think undeniably offers a unique perspective from our current board on how the town should be run, and someone who should absolutely have a seat at the table. As Kim said, she doesn't have experience directly with the town council, but her resume and background outside of that are nearly perfect. Her experience on boards, she sold herself short. She's risen to be the president of a lot of those boards. She helped run a staple in our community, the Winnetka Community Nursery School, which had a lot of back and forth with the community. And through all of that, she has a ton of experience understanding financial budgeting, financial planning. She was successful in the corporate world, managing teams, hitting deadlines. She has an MBA from a highly accredited university, and she'll have no trouble at all understanding any of the financial issues that go with a board like this. And lastly, and I think most importantly, and this came out in the interview process for everyone, people that know Kim know that whether she's here starting a business from scratch in Winnetka, raising money for these charities, working around our town, speaking for the families, everything she does with passion, with a smile, with 100% energy. And I think most importantly, a ton of intelligence. And to me, she's kind of the person that represents a needed thing. And she hates taxes.
Thank you. Kim, can you introduce your second person?
Yes, thanks, Max. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna call to speak Seema Ackerman.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Seema. You have a minute.
Got it. Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to speak on behalf of Kim Mancini today. So thanks for having us. I think Max said it really well when it's undeniable the amount of home sales that we've seen in our community. It's been wonderful. We had so much inventory. And then as a result of what's going on, we've had several new families move into our community with young children. I think it's so important to have some representation on our council in that demographic. Kim is a very active member of the community. She welcomed me and my family with open arms several years ago. She is generous. She supports small business in this community and neighboring towns on almost a weekly basis. She's constantly trying to get me to do stuff locally and quit buying on Amazon. Kim is passionate enough to devote her time to a council like this in a time period where she has 3 young children. I think everyone on the call can remember how difficult of a life stage that is and how easy it would be for her not to volunteer her time for the betterment of our community. As a working mother of 2 young children, I think it's very respectable that she is so devoted to our town. And I think that we would be very, very lucky to have her represent us on the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Kim, your third person.
Thanks so much, Seema. And there'll be Catherine Martin.
Catherine, 1 minute.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to find Catherine.
No problem.
Yeah, Paul and Elijah, it's Scott. Catherine seems to be on, but we can't seem to unmute her. So Catherine, if you are hearing this, if you can start your video and unmute yourself, you'll be able to talk.
Oh, it's under Matthew Martin, it says, under the name Matthew Martin. I think this is from remote learning.
Okay, we'll try that. I'm not having any luck.
Hi, sorry, I'm
Oh,
on.
there we go. Excellent.
Me
All
in.
right.
I apologize. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Martin, and I'm obviously here tonight to speak on behalf of Kim. I grew up here in Winnetka and moved back 9 years ago with my husband, Tim, to raise our 5 children. Currently, I serve as the co-director of Winnetka Community Nursery School. I met Kim at a Mommy and Me class at the community house 6 years ago, and while I could speak for a long time about what a great friend she has become, I would like to focus instead on my experience with her as a leader. Kim served as the vice president and president of the WCNS board during my beginning years as director. She is an incredibly hard worker and always delivers on a deadline. Kim is extremely approachable, open-minded, and considers many viewpoints before making decisions. She spearheaded our playground refresh project, and during the year-long process developed a great deal of knowledge of the inner workings of our town. As someone who works on a daily basis with young families in our community, I feel it is crucial to the future of our village that their voice be represented on the council. I can think of no one better than Kim to do so, and I strongly endorse her candidacy. Thank you.
Catherine, thank you. Appreciate that. The next candidate is Andrew Kripe. Andrew, if you would take a minute to introduce yourself.
Got it. Can you hear me okay, Elijah?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. This has to be the best attended town hall meeting I have experienced in my years in Winnetka. Thank you to the caucus for putting all this together. I also want to just take a minute to recognize the fact that it's Veterans Day. Thank any of our vets that are in the audience tonight. If any of you haven't seen it, the Park District put out a virtual memorial today, video for our veterans. King Poor, I think I saw you out there, did an amazing job, and it was a great message. King's message sort of started out with the thing that unites us as Americans is our disagreements and our willingness to work together. I've been a trustee now for I'm in my third term, 6th year. I'm asking to serve my 4th and final term. I'll put it to you simply, I'm excited about what's happening, what we have that we can accomplish. Chris said it best, we've got some generational issues. For too long, the people in this village have suffered high taxes and stormwater flooding that's threatened health and safety, and it's unacceptable. The hard work has been going on for the last 5 to 6 years to come up with an environmentally responsible plan that can be done, that can be done in a cost-effective way and in an effective way. And here's the thing that really excites me about where we are right now. We got this plan in place by working closely with the Park District, by working closely with District 36, by working closely with New Trier. This kind of intergovernmental cooperation is what we need to control costs, the out of control taxes in the state. We have to do a better job working together. We've got more than 7,000 local taxing bodies in the state of Illinois. That's more than any other state in the union. It's more than Texas and California. And when you're questioning why it is that we can't seem to prioritize our spending.
We're running a bit long on time.
Sure, it's intergovernmental cooperation. So you want me to introduce my first speaker?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Please do.
Sure. Okay. Chris Rintz.
Thanks, Andy, and great words. I really appreciate what you have to say and agree with you totally. Anyway, my name is Chris Rintz, and I'm very pleased and honored to offer a few words of support for my colleague, Andy Kripe. When I joined Andy 5 years ago as a trustee, both he and Scott Myers had already begun the tough job of changing the way the village conducts its business. What impressed me most was Andy's willingness to listen rather than ignore and to engage rather than demean. He recognized that we are all neighbors here in Winnetka and that he was here to help solve problems, not perpetuate them, as well as the importance to set a new tone for how elected servants engage the community. Andy has been invaluable as the council's stormwater liaison. Through the years of negotiation, he was a steadying force, keeping us on track, his eyes always on the goal. He is a master at setting ego aside and focusing on what is best for the community, and a great partner at the negotiating table. All members on Village Council bring a unique perspective and professional skill set. Winnetka is so fortunate to have somebody of Andy's caliber serving as a trustee. As an attorney specializing in employment and labor law, Andy's guidance on a multitude of challenges have provided leadership and expertise to navigate numerous challenges faced by the village. He has saved us all bucket loads practicing his craft for our benefit, and we get that all for free. Last but not least, I have witnessed Andy's passion and commitment to green technology and how it affects us as a community. He frequently reminds us during our meetings of our responsibility to look to the future and focus on the long-term environmental benefits of our actions. He understands the delicate balance between short-term fiscal reward and long-term impact on the world we live in, and helps lead us to the sweet spot that keeps us moving forward without breaking the bank. I guess it goes without saying that I fully endorse Andy for another term.
Sorry, Chris, I had to mute you there. We're just trying to keep it fair and balanced for everybody. Do apologize, but let's try and keep the time down to 1 minute. We are running dramatically late, everybody. So drink coffee, speak fast, have a Red Bull, whatever is your thing.
Andy, introduce your second speaker.
Speaker.
Yes, Scott Myers, former village trustee and caucus member.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to speak in behalf of, in support of Andy's candidacy. I worked with Andy for 2 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals and then 4 years on the Village Council. I'm not going to rehash a lot of what Chris said in terms of Andy's skills that he brings to the council. I think just a few points that I really want to focus on is two things that Andy does exceptionally well are listen to residents, which oftentimes can lead to very long meetings, but making sure not only just to listen, but also to understand their concerns and also to bring common sense to the solution. Not only does Andy have a deep insight into the ordinances and the various rules of the village, but he applies common sense in evaluating any situation and applying those rules. We're in a situation now where there are a number of big projects facing us. Stormwater is just about to get started, and we need to go through the financing issues associated with that. We've got the post office. We've got the Feld property that still needs to be addressed. I think that having somebody with experience on the village council, experience in some of the zoning issues, is going to make for a much more efficient council. And I think that having experienced people on the council dealing with these issues is going to help with their resolution in a timely manner. So I strongly support Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, introduce your third person.
Thanks, Scott. Warren James, Park District Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Warren James, and I'm a current Park District Commissioner. I have gotten the opportunity to know Andy through our collaboration. And when Andy says that his goal is to collaborate and focus on intergovernmental agreement, I can attest to that. I can also attest to the fact that he is an excellent listener, as when we entered into these intergovernmental agreements, there were different perspectives and different approaches. And yet, while we may have had disagreements, we were never disagreeable. And we were always cognizant that the people that we serve are the citizens of Winnetka. We have miles to go to get this done. It involves a tremendous amount of work and a lot of fine details. And I would hope that the village would respect the work that has, or the citizens of the village have respect the work that's been put forth so far, and allow Andy and others to continue to execute and complete this most important stormwater project. Thank you.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you, Warren. Appreciate it. Thank you, Andy. The third slated candidate from the caucus is Jonathan Alt. Jonathan, if you'd take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Hey, folks. Jonathan Alt. I am a longtime resident. I was born and raised in Winnetka. And then my wife and I moved back here 8 years ago with our 3 kids. We have a daughter who's a 7th grader at Washburn, a son who's a 4th grader at Crow Island, and then a little 4-year-old who I just put down. And thanks to all the parents of growing families out there, know that this is a tough time, especially as you're getting your families down. I'm representative of all of Winnetka. My folks are actually on the Zoom. I believe it's their first Zoom. So thank you all for joining. They're in their 70s, and sorry to blow your cover on your age. But I think it's important because I'm representative of all generations of Winnetka. An interesting thing that I noticed a couple weeks ago, I walked into Connie's Pharmacy, one of our longest standing businesses and important businesses. And I asked Arshad, I said, listen, I'm up for village trustee. What can we be doing better? And his eyes lit up. And so as a small business owner, I'm going to be listening to all of our current business owners and then be very integral in recruitment for new businesses. I speak for the whole community. I hope that I think we're all sick and tired of empty storefronts. And we need to see a lot of these projects through. The stormwater project is of utmost importance. And then we need to revitalize our business districts. So would appreciate your vote. I'm thankful to be a lifelong Winnetkan and really hope to serve this entire community for the future.
Jonathan, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Introduce your first person. Thank you.
Yeah, first person I'd like to call is Bill Phillips.
Bill, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, and good luck to you. By way of brief background, my name is Bill Phillips. I'm a current resident of Winnetka with ties to the village going back roughly 40 years. I was born and raised in Kenilworth. My experience with this town ranges from the Winnetka Community Nursery School all the way to my graduation at New Trier. I know what makes this town special, so special in fact that after living 14 years in San Francisco, I convinced my California born and raised wife to move back here with our family. We have 3 little boys, ages 8, 6, and 3, and we moved 6 years ago. And I think Jonathan asked me to say a few words on his behalf because I know he feels the exact same way about this town. I've known him for 20 years, and I can genuinely say that in addition to being a great family man and very well liked in the community, he's a passionate leader. He's a consensus builder. He's a pragmatist. We first became friends at New Trier when he convinced me to join Tri-Ship. That's the men's club that you probably have seen with the Christmas tree lot. And then from there, after he was president, he went on to be president of our fraternity and of his sophomore, junior, and senior class of the student body at the University of Kansas. And when it comes to Winnetka's future, what I think you need is someone who has a proven track record of leadership, someone who listens to what the people want, keeps an open mind, pushes back when needed, and can build consensus to drive a process forward. Knowing his personal history, his roots growing up on Oak Street a few doors down from the Village Green, and his appreciation for what makes Winnetka a one-of-a-kind place to live, I know for certain he can be trusted to guide Winnetka towards modernization without compromising the history and tradition that makes it special. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Jonathan, your second person.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Next up is Richard Label.
Thanks,
Richard,
Jonathan.
1 minute.
You know, am I on?
You are?
You're on.
Great. I'm sure all those slated are going to do a fine job. They each bring something different to the table, but they also have something in common. It's the love of our village. So I'm here tonight to give you my impression of Jonathan Alton. I believe his passion, his vitality, and his semi-youthfulness will bring a much needed new perspective to town, all while keeping the past in mind. You see, Jonathan was born, raised, and grew up here. Opposed to many people his age, getting away from where they grew up was not Jonathan's route. He decided coming back to Winnetka to raise his family was his path. He knows the things we all love about Winnetka are important to keep as the history of Winnetka runs deep, but Jonathan also knows we need to look to the future and make changes, keeping Winnetka relevant and moving forward. I believe Jonathan has that passion, that drive, and a work ethic I keep seeing day in and day out needed to take on the rigors of city council. That and the 3 things he cares about most: family, friends, and our village. Finally, I just want to say we've been next door neighbors now for over 8 years. And now we're empty nesters, and we've thought about moving or downsizing several times, but you know, you just don't find a neighbor like the Alts. So it's really one of the main reasons we've stayed in our home is because of our next door neighbors. And truly, what a great family and a great guy Jonathan is. All Winnetkas will be in good hands with slated candidate Jonathan Alt. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Jonathan, if you'd introduce your third person.
Yeah, thanks so much, Richard. Jenna Radney.
Good evening.
Jenna,
Good evening,
1 minute.
everybody. Thank you. I'm going to start the timer right here. We've got 59 seconds. Let's hit this off. First of all, I want to say this. I know this village. I love this village. I have sold $100 million in 2020. I'm not here to brag, but I know how this village works. I hear the complaints. I hear the positives. Johnny Alt and I have been friends for 10 years. We have had many drinks and dinners together. We've talked about stormwater. We've talked about issues. We talked about passing a store and not having something in there. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's why Johnny Alt's our guy. Number one, it's time for change. It is time to find someone that can resonate with the new buyers today. And here's what they're looking at. They come into these houses, they're expensive, they can pay for them, they can pay for the taxes, they love the schools, but here's the problem. Where am I going for lunch? Where am I going for dinner? So we have almost everything there. And I'm going to talk about the downtown because Johnny and I talk about how we can make it better. Here's the other thing. Young people like to talk to younger trustees. Listen, this is not anything about age, but where this market is going with COVID-19, we have a chance right now to capture this market, meaning the city doesn't have all the glamour. It's losing its restaurants. Let's take that and make this area more prosperous. We're already there. So that's why I think it's time to really do this. Lastly, here's the last thing about Johnny. He is an ambassador. He's an ambassador for the people in this town. He is an ambassador of being a gentleman. He is not a bad mouther. I like that about him. And here's the best thing. I've never sold John's house. He's always been my friend. At the end of the day, he is an ambassador for this village, and he's about tradition. He's born here. He knows it. I love his wife, Sarah. They're great people. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the tradition
Thank you, Jenna.
young. Thank you.
Time is up.
Go, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna.
And our floor candidate, Bob Dearborn. Bob, if you would take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks very much. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yep, loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. For those who do not know me, I'm Bob Dearborn. I've been a Winnetka resident for 25 years. My wife Jane and I have raised our 3 daughters here in Winnetka. One of those daughters lives here with her husband and our granddaughter today in Winnetka. My past service in Winnetka Civic Affairs includes, as Brian mentioned, I also would like to thank Brian and Patty Van Cleve, by the way, for nominating me. I served as chairman and treasurer of the caucus 20 years or so ago. I served 8 years on the design review board, and I'm in the midst of completing my 4th year as village trustee. In addition, I've served as trustee liaison to the Landmark Preservation Commission and to the Chamber of Commerce. So why do I choose to spend considerable time in service to Winnetka? First, I believe this is a fantastic community with great people, and I want to do my part to keep the village moving forward with the times. Second, I have a skill set and knowledge base to offer that I believe contributes to good decision-making. One of those is a deep background in finance and budgeting. That is my profession, and I'm very comfortable analyzing complex financial situations, and Winnetka has many of those right now. Third, I've approached all of my positions, including that of trustee, with objectivity and the goal of doing what is right for us as residents and for the community as a whole. My style is to probe issues, ask questions, do advanced work with other trustees, with residents and village staff, and come prepared at all times. In my years of trustee, I've fully supported the several primary initiatives, including stormwater, responsible budgeting, streetscape, downtown revitalization, and promoting our local merchants and the commercial district generally. With respect to financial oversight, I've been an outspoken voice on the council on budget and other appropriations issues, with an eye toward creating financial flexibility for funding future projects, including those that are now upon us. For example, I've been directly involved with the pension funding decisions, and recently was a leading voice in the effort to refinance $12.5 million of village bonds. That refinancing resulted in roughly $3.3 million of present value savings and over $6 million of nominal savings. Quite enormous for a village our size. As part of that process, we were gratified that Winnetka's AAA rating was reaffirmed and is indicative of the village's strong position. With several large projects either underway or on the near horizon, give me 1 second, exercising sound financial decision-making is utmost importance. Being a trustee takes considerable commitment of time and requires knowledge and experience in community affairs. The learning curve is very steep. My overarching goal is to help position Winnetka as a preeminent community to live in today and for generations to come. Based on my knowledge base and experience, including past and current contributions to Winnetka, I'm asking to be reslated for village trustee and would appreciate your vote. And with that, I'll introduce my first of 2 speakers, and the first would be Brooke Walper Bloom.
Thank you, Bob. Brooke, 1 minute.
I think we're just trying to locate Brooke.
I'm under Brooke Bloom.
There you go. Okay, Brooke, you're on.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brooke Bloom. I grew up in Winnetka, and my husband Chris and I moved here in 2011. We have a 2-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl, so apologize if you hear some bedtime chaos. I've known Bob and his family for most of my life. Having raised his 3 kids here, he understands what Winnetka families need and are looking for in our village. His experience on the village council and the design review board shows that he's dedicated, he's willing to be flexible, he can ask those hard questions, and he's willing to drive forward with progressive change while at the same time being fiscally responsible. You know, we're a young family and we live in an expensive town, and I think that Bob will be our advocate. He has extensive knowledge of current and upcoming projects in the village. If we lose his expertise, I really believe it will be a detriment to the village as itself and our individual citizens. I fully endorse Bob Dearborn for Village Council. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brooke. Bob, if you would introduce your second.
My second person to speak on my behalf is Mike Ritter.
And I'm going to
Mike, 1 minute.
interject here. I'm going to interject here because we have 3 mics signed in, but no Mike Ritter. So I'm trying to unmute the various mics. So if Mike Ritter is one of them, hopefully this will work and he can speak.
Mike, if you can identify your screen name in the chat function, that would be helpful also.
I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
There you go, Mike.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mike.
Yes, we can.
Little did
Thank
I
you,
know I
Mike.
had
1 minute.
control over that all the time, this whole time. Anyway, thank you. My name's Mike Ritter. I'm a longtime resident of Winnetka, and Bob Dearborn is a friend of mine. I also had the pleasure to serve with Bob on the DRB before he joined the Village Council. Bob was a well-respected member of the DRB and always exhibited sound logic coupled with common sense. He was conscientious and well-prepared and considered the application submitted to us in a fair and reasoned manner. He consistently had the best interests of the village and obligations of the DRB in mind when voting on each application that came before us. He has always taken his village responsibilities and the trust placed in him very seriously. Bob brought these same qualities, capabilities, and commitment to the village board as a trustee. He has valuable experience in village governance matters and is committed to acting for the good of the village and its residents. He has important insight into the history of the village as well as its goals for the future. He understands the need to maintain high standards for education and public services that Winnetka is known for, and to do it in a fiscally responsible manner to ensure that the costs don't unreasonably burden residents and young families seeking to move here. In my opinion, it would be a great benefit to the village and all of us who live here for Bob to continue to serve as a trustee. I strongly endorse him for village trustee and urge you to vote for him. Thanks very much.
Mike, thank you. Appreciate it. At this time, we're going to open up the floor. Communications team, you handle it as necessary, but we will have 5 minutes for questions to any of the candidates. 5 minutes max. Thank you.
In the interest of timing, everyone, I'm going to start with some of the questions that were raised in the text windows. And the first one is for Kim Mancini. And the question was, what experience do you have in Winnetka? Kim, I'm going to try and unmute you.
Yeah, hi. I did not grow up in Winnetka. So in terms of a history of being raised here and going to schools myself, I don't have that. But I do have experience working in a group that was directly tied to the school. So Winnetka Community Nursery School is where my children have gone to preschool. And I sat on that board of directors for 3 years, including as vice president, president, and past president. That actually had me working directly with the village and going through the zoning board of appeals, the design commission, all of those in order to approve a large scale project we were working on. So I've worked with the village in that way. I also separately, and not everyone knows this, but I was pursuing opening a small business myself here before the pandemic hit. I was going to be opening a restaurant with my business partner who also lives in town. We were about to purchase a building. So I was working directly with Brian Norcus, Liz Denchant, and a variety of other people who are on the other side of the village that we don't see today in this town hall meeting. So had many meetings with them for a variety of topics, including small business and the Winnetka Community Nursery School.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
The next question was actually asked at all candidates, but we'd like to just keep it to one candidate. So I'll just randomly pick Jonathan Alt. And the question is from Mary Hickey. The question was, what is your vision for One Winnetka property development? Jonathan, if you could give us a minute of your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. One Winnetka isn't going to be as easy as I think we would all like to see it change. There is quite a bit of monetary and legal challenges that are tied up in One Winnetka. What I would love to see One Winnetka come back as a thriving heart of the community that is a mixture of retail, small businesses, and some residential as well. We don't need some big towering 10-story residential skyscraper, but we certainly need to have residential property there in addition to a revitalization of what is the current property. Now, I think we would all love to see the entire property scrapped completely, but I don't think that the financials are going to allow the full scrap of that property. So what we're going to need is for developers and businesses to come in and revitalize the current scape so that we can keep what is a pillar of this community in Connie's Pharmacy, whether that needs to move across the street or be involved there. We need to see that completely revitalized with a mixture of retail and residential.
Thanks very much for that answer. This is another twofer from, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Lovey Myers. It was to Kim and Andy. As Kim has already answered a question, I'm going to direct this to Andy. You both mentioned high taxes. How would you change them? What services would you cut or shift in our village? Andy, can you give us a minute of your thoughts?
Absolutely, and it's a great question. Thanks, Lovey. So in my 6 years as trustee, we have not raised taxes on existing residents. We've done that by listening to really smart residents in town and finding opportunities for cooperation. So let me break that down. We have achieved over $7 million in savings through cooperation with the Park District, District 36, New Trier, just in our stormwater plan. We had originally a very unpopular stormwater plan that people were willing to spend money to fight. We now have the state of Illinois giving us $28 million to get stormwater done. So I don't view it as a, what do you cut? I view it as, how do we work together? Where are there opportunities? There are huge opportunities for synergies with our neighboring, with our other bodies, whether it's in finance, HR, employee benefits, fleet. We can do so much more to save redundant expenses in this town. It would make your head spin. We've saved millions. Just the 35 million we've saved on the stormwater project, that's $8,000 per household. And we have not cut services, and we've kept your taxes level. We have so much more that we can do, and we can help this town better prioritize the priorities between the schools, the village, and the park. So we really can't, I think, do it all. There's not a shortage of money being spent here. We know that. So great question. Thank you, Lovey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to skip ahead a question as Bob hasn't been given a question to answer. So there's one here for Bob. What do you consider as unfinished business from your first term that we should consider?
Well, that's a good question. It's actually my second term, and we still have unfinished business on a lot of fronts. Obviously, we talked about the One Winnetka property. That has to be worked through the system, and a vision there that's going to accommodate a lot of fronts. So that's obviously unfinished business. But I think that the downtown development, we're working on that. It's going to be finished. We're making progress. I think each iteration is getting better. We're learning more and more how to do things better on the streetscape. We're doing that. That's sort of unfinished, but it's going to be finished. And then I think, the downtown, the merchants, I think we've come a long way in terms of supporting and promoting the commercial district and our local merchants. We've instituted a lot of initiatives this year, including a sales tax rebate to a number of our merchants, a lot of social media, a texting program that was recently put in place. So I think that the council has gone up a good curve here in supporting our downtown in what is arguably, the most difficult environment ever for local commercial districts. So there are a number of fronts, and that's why I think we need continuity on some of the initiatives that we're right in the midst of taking care of right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I've just seen a message from Elijah. Elijah, how are we doing on timing for questions here? This is your meeting.
Let's end the questions. Let's move this to a vote, seeing we've passed the 5 minutes of questions.
Okay, just sorry, everyone. Some of this we literally make up as we go along. We have gone dramatically long. I do agree with Elijah that we need to move to vote, as there are a couple of texts of people who want to vote, but have to leave for other commitments. So I think we need to move forward with a vote, as this is a contested vote. What I will do, technologically permitting, is copy all of the chat questions and try and circulate them to the candidates and then try and find a way of getting answers. I know many people wanted to ask questions. Timing is an issue. We apologize for this. We're doing the best we can. But hopefully that will be a way for us to get answers to the questions. Right, let us poll. All right, I'm going to launch the poll now. You will see on your device the question come up. You will see for Village Council Trustee in alphabetical order, 4 candidates. You are to select 3 candidates and then submit your vote. We will then look at the polling function, tabulate those, and give everybody the results. Scott and Craig, are you good to go on this as well?
Yep.
Right.
So no more than 3.
3 from 4, please. Here we go. Just so everyone knows, I'm actually seeing a live counter of how many votes have been cast. And once that stops on a number and is static for a while, I will call the vote. We are at 458 currently of 519 people. 89% have voted.
Paul, some people in the chat are asking if they're able to vote from their phone. I don't know if you can chime in on that. I'm not sure if they are. And other people are.
If you are on the mobile app, you will be able to have a vote function launch on that.
But for those people who have called into the meeting, they are not able to vote.
Correct. You can only vote if you're on the mobile app. We are at 488 of 519, 94% of people have voted. It hasn't moved.
And Paul, let me also state, some people are asking, are we recording votes from the chat? No, we are not.
No, we are
You
not.
actually had to submit a vote, so we are not taking chat votes, just so everybody is clear.
And the number's just gone up to 494. I do need to call the vote. Going once, going twice, end poll. Share results, all being well. That should be appearing on everyone's screen. Craig, are you seeing it on screen?
I am.
Right.
Yes, it is on.
So the votes that we have are Andy Kripe with 399. Second, Kim Mancini, 341. And third, Bob Dearborn, 307. Scott and Craig, can you confirm that those counts are correct?
Those are the counts I see.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Those are the final numbers, communications?
They are?
Yes.
Okay, the 3 candidates approved: Andrew Kripe, Bob Dearborn, Kim Mancini. Thank you to everybody for voting. Jonathan, sorry about that. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations to the 3 candidates. Next, we are moving on to the presentation of the village platform. I am going to read the platform. There's 2 planks that we're proposing. The crafting of the platforms is a tool used by residents to share our concerns and priorities with the elected bodies and to hold them accountable to our desires. Platforms generally flow from questions posed in the annual survey. The Village Platform Committee is required to submit a platform annually, while other committees are required to submit platforms only in odd number years. Therefore, the village is the only one that submitted platforms for 2020. Plank number 1, the Village Council of Winnetka should be more aggressive in improving the vitality of the village's downtown areas and actively seek ways to introduce more activities that bring people downtown. Recognizing the need to keep the tax burden on residents under control, the village should evaluate levers to improve residence density in the downtown, attract more residents, restaurants, and retail, increase the speed in which viable businesses can obtain approvals for operations, and work with building owners to encourage leasing of empty spaces. Plank 2, the village should continue to prioritize and fund aspects of the village bikeway master plan. Are there any questions or comments from the floor regarding these village planks?
If there are any questions, if you'd like to use text.
We'll give that a minute. If there are no
I'm not seeing any.
questions or comments, we are going to approve the village platforms for 2020. Thank you. Moving forward, Paul, just make sure that I'm on the same page as you. We're moving to parks first.
Let me check my crib sheet on that. I think that was what we had next. Yes, we're going park, and school.
These are uncontested. So let me introduce the park nominees of Eric Lusson, Warren James, and Colleen Root. Eric, we'll start with you if you'd like to take a minute or two and introduce yourself.
Are we able to find him?
I'm sorry, Elijah, can you say who do you wanted to start with first?
Eric Lusson, if he was able to join, he was going to try to join us this evening by phone. He may not have been able to actually join. If you cannot find him, he may not be on.
Yep.
There was a.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you are?
Yep.
Eric?
Thank you.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Lusson. I'm currently a commissioner of the Winnetka Park District and seeking a second term. I want to thank the caucus for nominating me. My family of four actively participates in the Park District activities, and we value all the wonderful resources that the Winnetka community provides us. Our personal experience day to day is really the thing that motivates me to be involved in this wonderful organization. Over the past 4 years since I've been involved, the Park District has accomplished a lot of great things, both visible, like Dwyer Park, and those things that are less visible, like bluff restoration and maintenance of facilities. Personally, my passion is the restoration and the preservation of Winnetka's greatest resource, which is our lakefront beaches. And to that end, I recently helped lead the Park District in the issuance of $9 million bonds in order to finance our first phase of the lakefront restoration work. And candidly, this is just the start. We certainly have a lot more work to do. And going forward, I believe that agreements between Winnetka's governing bodies will lead to broader success for the Park District and the village overall. And I remain committed to partnering with the leadership of the Park District and representing all of our villagers in creating a Park District and our resources, which our present and future generations will appreciate. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Warren James.
Good evening. My name is Warren James. Hello, neighbors. Happy to be here and join you. I'll try and keep it brief. Didn't know Winnetka Community Nursery School is going to be so important, but I am a grad. Grew up in Wilmette and Winnetka, went to New Trier. Been very active, 8 years in AYSO as a coach, 12 years active in Troop 20, Assistant Scoutmaster, still active. I was co-chaired the Lakefront Master Plan, and then I became a commissioner. I am finishing my first term, and I'm very happy to report that we are actually getting things done along the lake. There's a lot of work yet to accomplish. I should also note that most recently we made an agreement for a land swap. If you haven't heard about this, we're realizing a very long-term goal of combining Elder and Centennial Parks that will allow us to implement one of the crown jewels of the Lakefront Master Plan. I've also worked closely with Andy and Chris and the other trustees and village staff on the stormwater project, and that involves a a win-win collaboration where we saved money by taking water onto the golf course, and will also give us a new golf course or a redo, a significant enhancement and redo of the golf course. You've heard a lot already. I am ready, willing, and able to serve another 4 years and accomplish a lot more. Thank you.
Warren, thank you. Appreciate it. Colleen Root.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Can you?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Hi. Hello all. My name is Colleen Root. My husband and I moved to Winnetka effective October 1st, 2018, when we lost our home and my law office of 42 years post-Hurricane Harvey, when the Army Corps of Engineers released a dam and turned our area of Houston, Texas into a swimming pool for 21 days. The reason that we chose Winnetka is one of the reasons that I want to serve on the park board. It's because looking at all the North Shore communities, what we really found unique about Winnetka was its many amazing and beautiful parks. We bought an old Spanish Revival that's a block away from Centennial and Elder Lane Park. We have a 3-year-old basset hound by the name of Miss Penny Paulette, and we walk her there at least once or twice daily. I wanted to respond to Mr. Gray. The one place that I can walk a basset hound in the winter months is on the Green Bay Trail. And so I would be very interested in working to see what we could do once a plan is available to beautify that area. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter, a son, and a daughter-in-law who live in Winnetka. My granddaughter bikes on the Green Bay Trail. We participate in snowplow sand, summer camps. And again, I guess my interest in natural resources started. I grew up on a farm outside of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I was a park ranger, best job I ever had at the Gettysburg National Military Park. And I have had, after 42 years of legal experience, a great deal of experience working with state, federal, local, intergovernmental relationships and agreements. I served for a period of 15 years in our community homeowners association. And during that time, worked with the Harris County Flood Control District, Harris County, the city of Houston, and the state of Texas, in the development of a hike and bike Terry Hershey Park that was contiguous to the back of our subdivision. So I'm here, happy to serve, and I want to thank everyone for their time and attention this evening.
Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it. Since this is an uncontested placement of the 3 parks commissioners, if there are any nays, please type them in now. If not, we are going to approve this slate of the 3 candidates. We'll give that 15, 20 seconds or so.
Elijah, I did want to make you aware there are some questions that have been posted in the chat.
We're not taking questions for the uncontested positions, unless you guys do want to field them. I'm going to leave that to communications and the candidates.
I think we should. I mean, just
okay. Let's do it.
But we're entertain just maybe one.
All floor is yours.
Questions. So there was one. What's the vision for a dog park? Oh, that's a hot topic. This is clearly from a council. Oh, sorry. I'm assuming the dog beach is going away. Who would like to take that political hot potato? Colleen, let me go on then.
Really?
I made the assumption when I looked at the 2030 plan that the dog beach was going away. And I was actively involved last summer when there was some plan for a dog park. Another primary interest for wishing to serve on the park district is I would very much like to see development of some sort of park or facility for we canine lovers. It's an opportunity for multi-generations to come together, to get to know each other, and it's an awful lot of fun. And let's face it, for we who had canines, it's what's kept us sane throughout this COVID. The dogs of Winnetka are tired because they walk so much. So would really like to move forward to try to see what we can do in resurrecting maybe the dog park idea.
Wonderful, wonderful. We will stop questions there, just as it is an uncontested vote. We would, like I said earlier, try and find a way of documenting all the questions and trying to find answers to the questions. Elijah, would you like to call the vote?
Seeing that there's no nays, we are going to approve the parks slate for the candidates that were put forward. Candidates approved. Congratulations, you three. Appreciate it. On to the library. The candidates slated, again, this is an uncontested, is JP Ruiz Funes, Sarah Munoz, Tom Sundell, Melissa Mitchell, and Todd Van Neck. JP, the floor is yours if you would like to introduce yourself.
Greeting Winnetka citizens from Peoria, Illinois. I would like to first congratulate the caucus committee for a great exercise in technology-enabled democracy. I think despite disconnection and glitches, this is really an achievement, and congratulations for doing this. It is very sobering to acknowledge that by May, I'll complete my first 4 years as a trustee, 2 years as treasurer, and the last 2 years as president of the board of trustees. As a trustees, I have been guided by 3 principles: ensuring that the library delivers full value to the community, making sure that we operate in full conformance with law, regulation, and policies, and fully deliver on our fiduciary responsibility, and ensuring that the board acts as a thoughtful steward of all the library assets, money, people, dollars, and collections. And I have had the privilege to work with a board that fully shared with those principles, and I think has fully delivered on those accountabilities. Going forward, should I remain on the board, I think we have 4 clear priorities. First of all, making sure that we operate safely for our patrons and our staff, and in full respect of all the regulations that have been established in the current pandemic environment. Second, ensuring the continuity of service in that environment and making sure that the library is always open for everybody, taking full advantage of everything that we can do online. Third, we have a wonderful and absolutely fantastic new directors who will take the library forward in very exciting dimensions and will be a pillar of our community. And it is the responsibility of the board to make sure that we get her on board and up to speed as quickly as possible. And fourth, ensuring that we develop an exciting 3-year or 5-year strategic plan going forward. And I think all of this is very exciting, and I look forward to have the privilege to continue to serve as a library trustee.
JP, thank you. Appreciate it. Sarah Munoz.
Sarah doesn't seem to be on the call, so at least if
Okay.
she is, maybe she can make herself known, but she doesn't seem to be on the
No
call.
problem. Okay, we'll move to Tom Sundell.
Hi, I'm Tom Sundell. I am a resident of Winnetka these last dozen years. Raised my kids here. They went through New Trier. I'm a regular user of the library and I appreciate the services it offers and the diversity of its holdings. In terms of background, I had 50 years as a human resource consultant. And then in retirement, I'm a published author in fiction. So that's part of my appreciation of library. The library to me is an essential of a democracy. And I won't repeat the kinds of JP's iteration of the priorities, but I fully agree with them and support them fully and hope to, as a trustee, to be able to have this vital part of our community continue to be, provide the resources that the community needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Melissa Mitchell. Melissa said she was unmuted, but muted.
Sorry, I had to cough and didn't want everyone to have to listen to it.
Okay.
So I am Melissa. I've lived here for a little over 2 years with my family. I work full-time in advertising. I've got 2 young kids who are 1.5 and 3.5. And I am pretty passionate about reading. I'm a pretty passionate reader. Libraries have always played an important part in my life. Even when I was a kid, and my friends and I would ride our bikes to the library for a good time. So I am super excited to get involved and do everything that we can to make sure that the library is best serving the community in every way that it can, in every way that people need it to. So that's sort of where my passion comes from. And I just honestly can't wait to get involved and see what we can do to best serve the community.
Thank you. Todd Van Neck.
Hi, everyone. My name is Todd Van Neck, and I just want to say thanks to all those who've kind of stuck it out through the evening here with us. I'm an 18-year resident of Winnetka and have done a variety of other sort of volunteer work on different boards, though not necessarily here in my immediate community, and feel like we're not quite done raising our kids. I have a junior at New Trier as our youngest. But it's time that I want to sort of give back to our community. I'm a huge fan of libraries in general and of our community library in particular, which I think has done just a great job in keeping itself relevant, not just as a repository of materials, but in offering up a whole variety of services that makes it a real hub for the community. And like many other institutions now sort of struggling to continue to offer up those services in a safe and relevant sort of way. My work experience is basically in higher education administration, in finance and budgeting, and I hope to kind of draw on that skill set and make my contribution to the board.
Todd, thank you. Questions from the floor? Or any of the library
Please use
candidates?
the functionality if you would like to raise a question. As a little bit of a side game for everyone, if you want to actually read some of the comments going on in the chat right now, it really is fantastic. Just to see the level of commitment and passion that everyone is putting into our village. I will bring this message to you from our sponsors this evening, the WCC, a wonderful organization that is massively understaffed and would be more than lovely to have many of you come join us and help improve the work that we are doing. So hello@winnetkacaucus.org, c'est moi, and we will then put you in touch with anybody on the committees for you to help find out what the role is about and how you can help us do a better job. We are currently running at about 1/3 of the staffing level that we need according to the rules. So thank you everyone for your passion and commitment to Winnetka. If you feel like volunteering, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. We don't have any further questions. So Elijah, now that we've got through our sponsors, if you'd like to call the vote.
Yeah, let's move this to a vote. If there's any nays, since this is an uncontested for the 5 library candidates, if there are no nays, We'll give that 15, 20 seconds.
Nays via text, everybody.
No nays. We're going to approve that slate. Congratulations, candidates. Library board is approved. Schools board. 3 slated candidates. Again, this is uncontested. Steve Cerulis, Alyssa Rapp, Dan Waters. Steve, if you'd like to take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Cerulis. Thanks for taking the time tonight. I know it's getting late, so I'll be quick. I've been a resident of Winnetka for going on 10 years now. I have 3 children, all in District 36, and have spent the past 3+ years serving on the school board. And it's certainly been a privilege to navigate some of the challenges, from bringing per pupil spending back into the kind of guided range, to a redistricting project, to now rebooting the entire system to function in a pandemic, which has not been an easy task. And so, I look forward to continuing to balance the needs of our children, our community members, our educators, to help continue to enhance what is one of this village's most critical assets. I'm running for that second term to do that, and I have the energy and the passion to continue with the work that we've got, because it is it's complicated, and it's going to continue to take some more effort. So thank you, and I look forward to 4 more years of working hard for this community.
Steve, appreciate it. Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. Alyssa Rapp here. I am deeply honored by being included in the slate. I was a Winnetka native from kindergarten through New Trier, and I have been a parent in the district with my husband, Hal Morris, since 2017. We have a 3rd grader and a kindergartner at Hubbard Woods, and I know that the education I received from Greeley through New Trier positioned me for tremendous academic opportunity at Yale University and later Stanford University's Graduate School of Business. And the combination of a great investment in the best of the best fundamentals from this progressive education, married with social emotional learning, is a combination I firmly believe in. And I think that at this point in my career, I'm a private equity executive, CEO of a healthcare company, and still continue to teach at Stanford and the University of Chicago Booth Business School, that if time is limited, I want to be very, very specific and conscientious about where I invest my time. And there's no greater mission than early childhood education, and there's no better way to serve in my mind than the D36 school board. So again, I greatly appreciate being included in the slate.
Thank you, Alyssa. Dan Waters.
Great, and I'll echo that I'll be quick, as everyone else mentioned, as we're here at the end, but just wanted to say thanks for taking the time, and for those of you who have been able to stick around. My wife, Alicia, and I have been residents of Winnetka now for going on 8 years. Our children, Ben and Ruby, have been in the district through kindergarten through now, age 10 and 13. And I just couldn't be more excited to get involved with what I agree with, as Steve and Alyssa mentioned, of one of the best assets of this community. And I think we find ourselves, and the district finds itself, at a crossroads, whether it's COVID, whether it's the changing dynamic of more families moving up here quicker than probably was expected, or the need for a future referendum as well. And, I think the overarching role of the school board is really to be a voice of the community and to ensure the long-term viability and attractiveness of the district for, our community and those who are looking to move to communities on the North Shore. And, very briefly, I think that the board needs to get also to the work of ensuring we have a very clear strategic plan in place, so that as families are making a decision either to move or to stay, or community members to stay, that we're really clear on the direction that we're headed in. And I think mostly being very clear about the types of students that we're trying to send out into the world. And I'm not talking just academic performance, but also the academic growth and the types of citizens that we want to send to New Trier and beyond. And then building that strategic plan, but also being very clear in the tactical planning, so that the board can make sure that there are checkpoints along the way to make sure that we're on track. I'll frequently say at work the famous quote of, that vision without executional plans is really hallucination. And I think that the board needs to be very clear with the whole community on where the district is headed. So with that, thank you again for your time and your consideration.
Dan, thank you. Questions for any of the three candidates?
Not seeing anything on chat other than raging debates about the functioning of the caucus and its role within modern society, which candidly I bloody love. Everyone's just getting stuck in. There's a great side game in chat if you want to kind of try and do a two-screen thing. But no further questions, Elijah. Vote.
No questions. Then if there are no nays, we will give this 15 to 30 seconds. Any nays for the three candidates of Steve, Alyssa, or Dan on the school board? Paul, do you guys see the chat before we do, or we're all seeing it live at the exact same time?
There's nothing happening in chat.
Okay. All right. That being said, no nays. The uncontested school board candidates are approved. Congratulations, you three. Thank you. That being said, that wraps up the candidate slating approval for this evening. And I just want to thank everybody for turning out tonight. And just to remind you, as Paul mentioned, the caucus is a nonpartisan group of volunteers who serve to represent the residents of Winnetka. And you can volunteer for service on the council. A typical term is 3 years and open to every caucus resident 18 years and older. We're a 68-member organization, and there's always a place for you on our council. This concludes our business for this evening. Thank you again for participating. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Elijah, I'm just going to let it run just so that we capture all the text and any final messages.
Yep. No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll close the recording now. There we go.